At our local tram association we have a lot of bolts and nuts, and it's all new stock, but because they're laying there for many years, the nuts and the bolts are rusted together, a bit like this one. Now this one is extreme, is of course lost, but to hold these things, to try to free them up again, all we have is an old vise that doesn't work very well. But I think I found a solution to make things easier. What we also have is this old lathe chuck laying around on the floor somewhere, collecting rust and dust. Now this thing is a 300mm chuck. If I can make it work again, we can install our bolts and other things in here, and at least it will hold. And to hold the chuck itself, maybe I can build some kind of support out of this piece of rust here. Here's more or less the idea. If this is the chuck view from the side, of course, and I take a piece of rusty plate, drill holes in there because this chuck on the back has 3 bolts, and make a plate comes here. And of course this plate will be welded on another one, and then making some reinforcement thing, we'll see, and then bolt it or weld it or whatever it on something solid that doesn't move. That could work. But first I think it's maybe a good idea to clean up the thing and see if I can make it move again, because this thing is of course completely stuck, all 3 of them. And the 3 bolts I was talking about, they are of course behind here, and I see that they are square. That's not really usual, so maybe I have to make a special key for it. And the jaws, they need some love too. Let's go for it. Of course it isn't clean at all, I just took off the dust and the rust, that's it. And never mind this liquid here, this is paint thinner. And I see that here is some weld, so I suppose this piece here broke off one day, long time ago, and they welded it in. And I think the weld didn't help, because here you can see a line. But whatever, we're here to make a tool. And the square 13 and the cylinder 28. And I have here a little piece of 30mm sheet steel that I think for a one-time use will work just fine. So we will make the square on the shaper, of course, and a cylinder, the lathe maybe. I drilled the take the chuck apart tool 13 millimeters, smallest dimension on the blackboard. And to create some free space behind it, I drilled 15 millimeter deep, and all the rest of the bore is now 16 millimeter. It should be a tiny bit bigger, but I don't have a tiny bit bigger drill bit. But that's not really a problem. It's just to be able to clear the chip, to end the cut inside the bore here, that's all. So let's shape. According to my dials, I should be now spot on. But because I don't have the possibility here to check the dimensions, because my machine here doesn't fit in here, I think I'm gonna leave dangerously and take the part out. Now that's maybe not really professional, but I never pretended to be one. In theory, this should fit. It is tight, but it will work. I think it shows again that if you can't take any measurements, just trust your tiles. After all, they're made for it. And maybe now you're wondering, why didn't he cut the square all the way through so he can use the socket wrench? Because after all, it's the same dimension. Right, to cut the square, I use of course this tool. Maximum depth of cut, more or less half my workpiece here. So I need this square side to do the chuck, and I need the other side for my socket wrench. But when my tool is cutting, it needs some free space here. This is the part, this part, but cut in half. So what I did, I took away all this, like this, and of course the other side. Same. So that my cutting tool, you see me? Yeah. So my cutting tool can come through, and here it will break the chip. If the part is complete at 13 millimeters, the chip will not break and will build up and it's gonna jam the whole system. What maybe I could have done, but of course I didn't think of it before I started, is make something like this. 13 millimeters size of my square here, and then make the relief. This diameter is 16 point something, and on the other side make the same 13 millimeters, and then of course 16 something. And to do it, it could be really easy. For example, using my internal thread cutting tool, come in here, plunge deeper, and then make the internal relief. That could work very well. And then of course I have the free space to break the chip idea on this side and on this side. but I will make a hex because I didn't think of it. Right, let's go to the milling machine and cut a hex here on the other side. To determine what size hex I'm gonna cut here, I take the easy method, no calculations. I know that my part is 28, and then I take a socket and I take measurement over the points until I found the right socket that is also 28. So now I know that I'm gonna cut my hex at 24, cut down 2 millimeters. Easy. And here it is, ready for action. Now, let's hope it works. It needs a bit of motivation. Ha! Easy. Ta-da! That was easy. This went way easier than I thought it should go. Now, in here there are 9 flathead screws, and we'll see. First I will give them a touch of magic mix. That's nice. I start to believe that my magic mix really is magic, because as you can see, all these screws came out without any problem at all. Now let's hope for the best to separate these two parts here. It's moving. I'm spending my time here cleaning up parts of this chuck. Now, don't worry, I'm not gonna bother you with some Belgian dude cleaning up parts of a chuck. I don't think it's gonna make really interesting video. Now, of course, not that the rest of the video is interesting, but now, a nice detail I want to show you. Of course, the jaws of a chuck, they are always numbered. So here I can read number 1. And here I have jaw number 1. And as you can see, it slides very well. And when I take, for example, this jaw, here is marked 711. Right, I think we're there. This is all the love I'm gonna give to this thing. It's not clean at all, but the parts, the moving parts seem to fit all of them, so that's good. Let's not forget that this thing is gonna live outside in the wind and rain and sunshine and snow and sand and whatever. This is a completely worn chuck. And one thing is for sure, it's never gonna get late again. And if you're interested, I will show you the reassembly of the thing. Now, if you're not interested, I also gonna show you the reassembly of the thing. admit that it doesn't look as new at all, but it works as new, maybe even better. Now, a small detail I didn't notice while cleaning it, it's only now I see it, is that here there is a part that's welded. So using this thing again on a lathe is really not a good idea. But it will never happen. And I'm afraid I have to pause this chuck adventure because end of the week again, and my neighbor brought these two lines he asked me to fix in an emergency, because as long as these lines are here, of course he doesn't see what he's doing. So I hope to see you next week in part 2 of fixing the old chuck and making a foot support thing and maybe fixing it in place, and we'll see.